Good morning, Malacanang Press Corps. Good morning, everyone. For today's briefing, we'll have some members of the Philippine delegation to the European Union. But before the briefing itself, please watch this short video that they have prepared regarding the recent trip to Belgium, to Bosnia and Herzegovina, and to Geneva.
We are now bringing this EU to seek your cooperation to stop the funding of these organizations so that your money will not be used to kill our people, because technically the funds are used by these terrorist organizations to harass our people, to sabotage government. These terrorist organizations for the last 50 years have committed mass murder. They have killed the leaders of indigenous people who refuse to cooperate with them.
International solidarity is a human rights framework, which I know EU and Belgium closely adhere to. And it's something which we would like to own ourselves. But it is a framework which is now being used by terrorists to get funding.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines is an institution that has put in place complaint and investigation mechanisms to address cases of human rights violations by its personnel. These mechanisms have been established by law, enacted to address widespread human rights violations by military personnel, drawing from bitter lessons in authoritarianism during martial law. Let me assure you all that the AFP does not tolerate actions that violate the human rights of any Filipino or any person.
The peace and order situation in the Philippines has significantly improved, as shown by the decrease in total crime rate in 2018 compared to previous years.
Ambassador, sir, may I hand over the 17 atrocities committed by the communist terrorist groups to our IPs or LUMAs, Philippine Indians.
Mr. Deputy Director General, Admiral, thank you very much for this information. We will ensure that it is properly handled and move forward for the sake of our country and the prosperity of our IPs.
This is the first time that we submitted this documentary evidence against the communist terrorist groups. The most serious is leaders, tribal leaders were killed, murdered.
Contrary to what you have been receiving in Europe, all the bad things that you've been hearing about the Philippines, those are not true. Press freedom in the Philippines, it's alive and well, and journalists in the Philippines have never been more protected until now. So under the leadership of our President, Rodrigo Duterte.
Okay, now to introduce our guests, I would like to call on PCOO Undersecretary Lorraine Badoy.
Good morning, Malacanang Press Corps. Good morning, mga kababayan. For over 50 years, we were held hostage, and we had no idea that we were in such dire straits. For every one step we took forward, we were held back 3 steps. And however hard we tried, we couldn't seem to make any progress. In fact, the harder we tried, it just seemed like our efforts were never good enough, and we watched in helpless despair as our country slid slowly but surely into the dark pit, while other countries around us, our ASEAN brothers and sisters, found their stride, got to flap their wings and soared, leaving us in the dust. Our men and women in uniform have known the reasons for quite a while now and have held a huge piece of the puzzle because they were at the very front lines of this protracted war waged against country by the communist terrorist group, the Joma Sison-led CPP, NPA, NDF. They've seen for decades the abuses and the treachery of this terrorist group, how they wreaked havoc on the Filipino people, from the poorest of the poor to some of our biggest private companies, from threatening to burn down equipment and structures if these companies didn't cough up and pay the revolutionary taxes they imposed, to the actual destruction of this equipment and structures, like the blowing up of bridges and communication towers. There's also been rape, pillage, the burning down of our schools, the using of our indigenous brothers and sisters as shield, mass murders they've committed to cleanse their own ranks, torture and murder, and then to put the blame on government, to paint faithful public servants as traitors. They've also seen how the political opportunists in our midst took advantage and formed unholy alliances to further their political agenda, no matter if it doomed our country further. It was therefore with great relief that those in the know heaved a big sigh of relief when the President created Executive Order Number 70, which is the creation of the National Task Force to End the Communist Insurgency that has bedeviled our country for over 50 years now. The order dated December 4 reads in part, there is a need to create a national task force that will provide an efficient mechanism and structure for the implementation of the whole-of-nation approach to aid in the realization of the collective aspirations of the Filipino people to attain inclusive and sustainable peace. The approach aims to address the root causes of insurgencies, internal disturbances, tensions, and other armed conflicts and threats by prioritizing and harmonizing the delivery of basic services and social developmental packages in conflict-affected areas and vulnerable communities. The only Philippine president who has taken on the country's real problems has taken on this huge problem at a level no other president has, whole of nation, and by going to the very roots of the problem and hacking those roots off. One of those roots is the funding the CPP, NPA, NDF has been getting through their legal fronts, like the Rural Missionaries of the Philippines, Karapatan, and the Ibon Foundation. To be able to get such funds, it was necessary that they paint such a dire picture of the country and to pull numbers and statistics out of thin air to, for instance, make the war on drugs seem like a bloodbath with their latest made-up number, 30,000 killed, and to make a wildly popular, highly trusted president seem like a butcher, a dictator, a misogynist. In order to perpetrate this scam, the Joma Sison-led terrorist group, the CPP, NPA, NDF, had to keep the poor and to create havoc and obstruct progress. It was therefore time for the National Task Force to reach out to our brothers and sisters in the European Union and to tell them of this betrayal. The money that they thought was going to the poorest of the poor was in fact being funneled into the pockets of Joma Sison and his cohorts, and that in effect they were funding terrorism and poverty in our country via a highly sophisticated global network that spans continents and that uses the international solidarity framework as cover for their horrific activities here and abroad. Money they had given out of the generosity of their hearts had been used to sow and perpetuate grief and hardship. We therefore went there to ask that they stop funding terrorism in our country. It was also time to reach out to the UN and tell them the truth and dispel lies they've been fed by traitors in our midst, to restore our honor as a people, and to give dignity to our government's sincere efforts to put our country on high ground. This morning, we give our report to the Filipino nation and the next few steps we wish to undertake to once and for all end this curse that has hostage our country for far too long. It is our hope that the time for endless political bickering ends when it comes to this whole-of-nation approach. We are not each other's enemies. We have a common enemy, and this enemy is Joma Sison and the CPP, NPA, NDF, a group that's been declared a terrorist group by the UN, the US, Canada, UK, and lately by the Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it's my honor to introduce Armed Forces of the Philippines Deputy Chief of Staff for Civil Military Operations, Brigadier General Antonio Parlade, Under Secretary and Executive Director of the Presidential Human Rights Committee Secretariat, Undersecretary Severo Catura, Presidential Communications Operations Undersecretary and Executive Director of the Presidential Task Force on Media Security, Undersecretary Joel C. Egco. Thank you.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, members of the Malacanang Press Corps. First of all, I would like to thank the PCOO for kindly inviting us, our office, particularly the Presidential Human Rights Committee Secretariat, to take part in their information campaign caravan, which we deemed as an important opportunity to preserve the integrity of the information coming from the Philippines. For the information of everyone, I think, although I know you are already aware of this, meron po tayong mga kinausap na iba't ibang mga mekanismo, no? Habang tayo pumunta ng Europe, we engaged with the UN Working Group on Enforced and Involuntary Disappearance. We engaged with the European Union, and quite particularly with the Belgian Foreign Ministry. We also engaged with the different chiefs of missions in the UN, and there were opportunities to meet with the different Filipino communities. No? So ano bang aim natin? Bakit natin ginawa ito? No? One is, if I'm looking at the perspective of one who deals with the UN, una, magandang tinan kasi natin dito na we are a very active part of the UN system. No? At ang pagiging kabahagi natin ng UN system ay hindi lamang maging kabahagi nito, maging kasama, kundi there's also an obligation for us to strengthen existing mechanisms. In our work that we do, we have seen the extent in which certain mechanisms in the UN and the EU are being used as platform to advance certain agendas, especially of critics of this administration. No? So meron tayong tinanan dito, the mission, as I said, was to preserve the integrity of the information, but it is actually to qualify the extent by which the human rights narrative in our country has been so muddled. Ang nakakaabot sa ibang bansa ay talagang ibang-iba sa nangyayari sa atin. At kanina nga nabanggit ni Yusek Lorraine, ginamit pa ang isang platform, yung tinatawag natin International Solidarity Platform, which is a human rights framework, no? Para lamang magawa nila yung gusto nila. No? Anyway, let me break this down a bit, and I would like to ask later on my colleagues to go into the certain areas. As I said, we engaged with the UN Working Group on Enforcing Involuntary Disappearance. Ang meeting na ito ay ginanap sa Sarajevo, sa Bosnia and Herzegovina. Dito sa opportunity ito, we were able to clarify the 625 cases that were brought to our attention. By the way, I'd like to point out na itong mga kasong ito, hindi ito naganap under the Duterte administration. Naganap ito nung panahon pa ni Marcos hanggang sa panahon ni Benigno Aquino. No? So ito yung sinasabi natin dito na kahit na hindi man tayo signatory ng isang convention, kasi ito na lamang isang convention na hindi natin nilalagdaan, no? Still nandun yung puso natin para magkaroon sana ng closure. Matagal na itong mga kasong ito nabibinbin. We also wanted to clarify ano ba ang prosesong ginawa ng UN para matugunan ang mga kasong ito. Because based on our studies, we found out na marami doon, kung minsan may mga double entries, meron doon may mga acquittals na, pero hindi na re-reflect. So nakakalungkot nga when we moved into that phase wherein we wanted to clarify yung status ng mga cases na ito, tinuligsa pa tayo. Na para bang anong gustong gawin yan, alisin ang mga kasong ito. We would like to clarify na we wish to have some closure to bring about peace of mind dun sa mga pamilya ng mga biktima. you know, kung ikaw ay isang pamilya, no, membro ka ng pamilya ng biktima, syempre naman kahit paano gusto mong malaman na may nangyari doon sa mga kaso. Kaya nga ang ginawa natin sa UN working group, no, nung nakipag-usap tayo sa kanila, sabi namin, tulungan nyo kami na para mapaayos ang mga kasong ito, para namin ma-resolve, no, magkaroon ng certain level of resolution. At nabiling naman sila, natutuwa nga sila kasi we initiated this effort, we reached out to them in our hope na itong ating mga kababayan na may mga problema tungkol sa enforced disappearance ay kahit paano mabigyan nga ng katahimikan. But again, we do not wish to set them aside. Their memories are very important. The political journey of the Philippines is defined by the many heroes of the past who were victims of atrocities, no? Yung sinasabi natin, kung meron man nagkaroon ng atrocities. And we wish to make that clear to everyone. Pangalawa, nagkaroon din tayo ng engagements with during the 40th session of the Human Rights Council. Meron pong portion doon na tinatawag na high-level segment. So part of the information campaign natin is try to tell people, no, hindi lamang dito sa atin, lalo na dun sa labas ng bansa, this is the extent in which human rights is being promoted, protected, and fulfilled in the Philippines. No? Ang nakakalungkot nga sa atin dito, we're so confined to the definition of human rights. Ano bang definition natin ngayon? EJKs, torture, etc., etc. Nakakalimutan natin na there are equally important issues on human rights for which the Philippines is being hailed as leaders. No? Kaya nga ito yung in-emphasize natin during the session, that the Philippines has upheld its long tradition of human rights leadership. We continue to be a global champion, at ito'y kinikilala. No? And nakakalungkot nga, kinikilala tayo dun sa labas, pero dito it appears that we're being so pilloried. We have achievements, no, in other areas like gender equality, migration governance, climate change and disaster management. And our role in the ASEAN is something which we should really be very proud of. We've taken a lead in the ASEAN Intergovernmental Commission on Human Rights, and that is something which the international community, particularly the Human Rights Council, has really hailed the Philippines. No? Then again, really the challenge, because of this muddled the muddled human rights narrative, is really a result, no, of the influence of many front organizations masquerading as NGOs and human rights defenders. At mamaya, mapag-usapan natin, and many of them are really the front organizations of the Communist Party of the Philippines and the New People's Army. So ito po yung lawak na ginawa natin sa information campaign. And we also had opportunities for interactive dialogues. We were able to engage with formal engagements during the interactive dialogues with the so-called UNSRs. I think you're very familiar with the UNSR, represented by Agnes Calamard, which incidentally I would need to inform you that many of them were telling us, please do not make Agnes Calamard a representation of the UNSRs. She is not a fine example of a UNSR. No? We were able to engage interactively with the UNSR on environment, on sale of children, on disabilities, of persons with disabilities, at maraming mga magagandang nabanggit sa kanila para sa atin. Yung UNSR Environment really, in its report, hailed the Philippines for our efforts on the climate change. No? Napakaganda. Yung Special Representative ng Secretary General on the violence against children, tayo ay pinuri dun sa ginagawa ating efforts to protect children in armed conflict. No? And then yung mga efforts natin with regards to addressing the concerns of PWDs, citing yung enactment of the mental health law. So ito yung nakita natin na opportunities for which we could be able to expand awareness, no, of people. And it was also an affirmation by the international community that we are doing things right. No? So again, gusto ko magpasalamat sa PCOO for that opportunity na binigay sa amin para kahit paano naging kabahagi sa information campaign na ito, At kahit yung mga kababayan natin sa ibang bansa, at least malang namulat, no, na ito yung ginagawa natin sa hanay ng human rights. And again, babalikan natin, itong human rights narrative natin ay kailangan natin isulong na maayos. At ang challenge dito is really how to address the negative information coming from other groups that are very critical of this administration. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yusek Katura. Now let's hear from General Parlade.
Okay, magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat. Probably I'll give you some of the slides that we showed dun sa UN, sa Bosnia and sa Geneva and then the EU para lalong maintindihan nyo kung ano yung engagement, anong itsura ng engagement na ginawa namin sa Europe. But these engagements all started when the CPP celebrated its 50th anniversary last December 26. So nakita natin na napakatagal na nitong insurgency na ito at yung grupo ni Joma doon sa Utrecht, halos hindi natin nagagalaw. And true enough, sa ating pagre-research na nakita natin na ang dami po ng funding na nakukuha nitong mga organizations na ito, specifically from the European Union. Ang nakita natin na very clear is the release of some 621,000, 22,000 euros para doon sa Rural Missionaries of the Philippines. And they're proudly displaying the logo of the European Union without the EU knowing na ito pala yung mga front organizations. So nung nag-research kami, we engaged the ambassador of EU in Manila and we found out that the EU is also planning to release another 1.3 million euros para doon sa mga succeeding projects nila. Also, being undertaken by the Rural Missionaries of the Philippines. So medyo nabahala tayo dahil baka sa laki ng natatanggap nila, lalong matagalan itong insurgency na ginagawa, pinipilit natin na matapos, especially now that we have this National Task Force. So, naging magandang opportunity yung invitation ng United Nations for the Philippine government to present its case on the 625, yung missing na 625. Merong 117, this was the 117th session of the working group on enforced and involuntary disappeared persons sa Bosnia. At meron ding invitation sa Geneva on human rights also. Kaya minarapat namin na i-engage na yung UN and then yung EU dahil paulit-ulit yung invitation, wala tayong pinipresent na data sa kanila. At ang umiiral naman na narrative ay yung narrative ng mga makakaliwa, especially these organizations like Karapatan and Ibon, at ginagamit nila yung UN system at yung kanilang connection sa UN system para itong message ay yung mga hindi magandang balita na ito at saka yung mga fabricated reports nila paratingin sa UN and sa European Union. So, ganun ang naging kwento. But I'll probably show to you some of the slides that we presented. Can you flash the first slide, please? Actually, on the 625, next slide po. Yung sa 625, we emphasize to the UN that many of these 625 probably disappeared during the purging years of the Communist Party of the Philippines, which was from the period 1983 to 1986. Inamin po ito ng Communist Party of the Philippines sa kanilang anniversary statements. Bago lang itong anniversary statements na ito, compilation of anniversary statements. At kung nababasa nyo po, inamin nila dyan that they tortured and murdered more than 950 of their cadres. 950 po, more than the 625 na hinahanap natin. And true enough, nung ginraf natin ito, inanalyze natin, many of the 625 disappeared during this period. Mga 80% po nang nawala, hindi nawala nung martial law, but nawala during this period, 1983 to 1986. So pinakita namin yung link at naging guide ito ng reference ng United Nations at sila naman ay kumbinsido, hindi naman to gawa-gawa ng AAP. Ito po ay nakapublish by the way sa revolutionary website nila ng CPP NPA. Sige po, next slide. By the way, ito yung isang yung picture diyan sa baba sa kaliwa. Yan yung picture ng Inupakan Leyte massacre. Ito po yung Oplan VD sa Inupakan. Yung sa Samar, yung Oplan Zombie, matindi rin yun. Hundreds ang nakalibing dyan. At hindi pinag-uusapan yan dun sa UN. Hindi rin pinag-uusapan sa UN WIGED. Yung nasa ibabaw, yung pictures po sa ibabaw, I think, yeah, this was taken 2005. But madami pang killings na nangyayari, especially on the IPs. May picture pa ba tayo? Next slide po.
wala tayong isang ibang pictures. But this is just to show you kung paano nila ginagamit itong mga front organizations nila tulad ng Karapatan para i-project ang mga maling balita sa international community. Sige po, next. Next slide. This is just to show you how robust this structure of the enemy is. Ito po ay galing sa kanilang mga dokumento. Meron silang tinatawag na international department. Ang kanilang international department ay napakalaki na po at well-funded. Sige, next slide. Ito po ang nagpapatakbo. Sige, next slide. Ang International Department ng Communist Party of the Philippines ay pinangungunuhan po ni Joma Sison. At napakalaki na ng organisasyon na ito. Yung mga blue na yan, na boxes na nakikita niyo sa ilalim, yan yung mga chapters nila worldwide. Hindi lang magkasya lahat ng boxes, kaya yan lang nakikita niyo. Actually po, sa latest na analysis, this is 2015 data. Sa latest na data namin, two layers na yan. 2 layers na yan. And all of these countries are contributing to this effort of the Communist Party of the Philippines to itong revolution na ito na pinaglalaban ni Joma Sison. Itong graph na ito, pinapakita lang na si Joma Sison, siya po ang head ng International Coordination Group, ICG. I have here a document signed by Joma Sison inviting all these members throughout the world, including all these ILPS organizations or affiliates, kasama yung IBON, Karapatan, KMU, lahat ito nandito sa listahan na ito. Kung gusto yung tingnan, nasa website po nila yan. Kaya ako'y natatawa dun sa mga lumalabas na balita na red tagging daw yung gobyerno, yung NICA red tagging. No, hindi po. Si Joma ang nag-red tag ng mga organization na ito. Kasi linagay niya sa kanyang website itong mga organisasyon na yan. But anyway, sige po, next slide. These are just some of the officers at makikita nyo sa buong mundo, yung mga pangalan na yan, well represented ang maraming bansa dyan. Next slide. Next slide po. Okay. Ito is just an explanation. Paano nila in-infiltrate yung UN? Kaya po ang narrative dun sa UN, consistent. Consistent sila doon sa maling narrative because they have people in the UN. Rapporteur, may IP rapporteur sila doon. Actually, yung rapporteur na yun, nasa listahan yan as a member of the Communist Party nung finailan natin ng kaso yung Communist Party as a terrorist organization. Sige po, next. Next slide po. This is just to show you kung gaano sila ka-systematic. Meron silang tinatawag na clearinghouse. Ang tinatawag nila dyan, ang tawag nila dyan ay Mindanao Indigenous Peoples Conference. Yan po ang clearinghouse ng lahat ng project nila sa Mindanao. At meron kang nakikita dyan na Mindanao Interfaith Services Foundation Incorporated at nakikita nyo dyan yung Rural Missionaries of the Philippines. Ang Rural Missionaries of the Philippines ay mga madre po yan. Mga sisters yan na nagpapatakbo nitong mga projects na ito. One of them is being funded by the European Union. And when we engaged the Belgian Parliament, we found out na meron din pala silang malaking pondo na binibigay dito sa mga organization na ito. But please take note, ang end state nila doon ay dalhin ang kaso sa i-internationalize yung kaso. I-try ang ating presidente o kung sino mang presidenteng nakaupo sa International People's Tribunal. So yan ang objective nila. So talagang sisirain nila kung sino man yung nakaupo para i-try dito sa International People's Tribunal. Of course, hindi na nakalagay. Ay isa sa mga objective nila talaga is yung talagang mag-generate ng funds. Sige, next. Next slide po. Sample ng isang product ng Ibon Foundation. Napakalinaw dyan kung anong objective nila. Ang nakapirma dyan si Murphy. But really, the objective of this is to portray the sitting president as a tyrant, as oppressive. Sige, next. Next slide po. Sample ng kanilang mga pamphlets. Nakalagay dyan, save our schools. Ano bang schools ang gusto nalang i-save? Ito po yung mga salugpungan schools na nagtitrain ng mga kabataan para maging radikal. Nagtitrain ng mga bata para maging rebelde. At ito po, dala-dala ko rito, yung kanilang mga manual sa mga ginagamit nila sa salugpungan schools and Al-Qadeb, produced by Ibon Foundation. Kung i-share ko ito sa inyo mamaya, makikita nyo kung paano nila rina-radicalize yung mga estudyante as young as 9 years old, 7 years old, para eventually maging cadre nila. Okay, sige po, next. Another slide. But ang common dito sa mga slides na ito, dun sa mga pamphlets na ito, yung word na donate. Donate, 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 support. Even this communication of JOMA on the International Assembly or Congress sa Hong Kong, magkakaroon na naman sila ngayong June, nakalagay doon, please make sure that you pay your dues and then so pera talaga. It's all about money. Kaya nga sinabi natin sa last interview natin na I think this is really a big scam that we have to uncover. Sige po, next. I think that's the last slide. Okay, isang sample din ng produkto ng Ibon, portraying the president as the least, $81,000 na workers or jobs ang na-generate ng ating presidente. Nung tinyak natin sa PSA at saka sa DOLE, napakalayo po. Hindi yan yung accurate na representation nitong, of course, yung jobs that was generated during the time of the presidents. So bottom line, magaling po silang mag-fabricate, and these materials, this literature are well funded by these organizations, by these governments in Europe, including the EU. At kinakailangan pong malaman nila ito. So yun po ang pinaka-purpose, isa sa mga purposes actually ng ating pagpunta doon sa UN and EU.
Thank you, General Parlade. Now we have Yusek Egco.
Thank you, Maritz. Well, I understand we're a bit pressed for time, so hindi ko na masyado habaan. But I think that I believe the two gentlemen beside me were able to sufficiently and substantially explain the mission objectives of our trip to Europe. So, and the PCOO is part of the National Task Force, itong EO70. And of course, as the information arm, ay ito po yung naging role niya. So we call that mission as the Truth Caravan, wherein we also married the Press Freedom Caravan, which we have been doing since last year with Secretary Andanar and ASEC Ablan, where we directly engage with stakeholders, not only in the local scene but also abroad, yung ating mga Filipino communities. And I tell you, I would like to assure you, they're very fruitful, and we discovered a lot of things. There were a lot of realizations during that trip, especially yung sinasabi ni General Parlade kanina about yung funding na yan. In fact, during that meeting in Brussels, talagang nagulat kami sa amount involved sa Belgium pa lamang. Hindi pa kasama dito yung mga ibang bansa sa Europe, and of course yung mga issues on human rights, where si Secretary Yusek Katura was able to he was able to eloquently explain to experts, UN experts, the real situation here in the Philippines, what's really happening. And sabi nga sa kanila, we did not fly halfway across the world to tell them lies. So what we did was actually, I'd like to borrow your term, preserve the integrity of information of what's really happening in the Philippines. And paulit-ulit din naman po namin sinasabi na kulang talaga. In fact, hindi kulang, hindi lang kalahati, minsan baligtad pa yung impormasyon na nakakarating talaga doon. Hindi minsan, madalas. So what our message there was that there are enough mechanisms here being done by, laid out by the administration of President Duterte. And it's just unfortunate that some groups, there are many groups who refuse to avail of those mechanisms for one reason or another. So doon na nga din umiikot yan. And in terms of outputs naman, I have here a summary of the complete PCO outputs when it comes to releasing or yung mga blow-by-blow account of our engagements there. So everything was transparent, everything was above board. They were very happy, the Filipino communities. We engaged the media. You know, it's not easy to face members of the European Union Parliament. Matatalino tao yan. The officials of and experts of the United Nations. Hindi natin pwedeng bulahin yung mga yan. So talagang yun lang. Very truthful at kung ano yung totoong nangyayari sa ating bansa, yun naman ang ating mensahe doon sa kanila.
Okay, thank you. We'd like to open the floor to questions. RJ?
Sir, to summarize what you said, sir, the message to the EU was for them to stop funding these organizations, right? And what's the feedback from them then?
They were so surprised to know that these organizations are actually part of this terrorist organization. So of course we have to show proof. So, but we didn't go there actually to file complaint or what. It was an exploratory engagement. And kaya very maganda yung response nila at nung naintindihan nila, nagbigay sila ng commitment na they really have to stop this because they don't want to be seen as providing support to these terrorist organizations.
They will no longer fund these organizations.
Oh, no. They wanted us to provide more evidences and then to file the formal complaint because during the time when we went to Europe, we didn't have the formal exploratory nga. So that's what we're doing now. We are consolidating all our evidences para i-submit sa European Union. And as soon as they have that, they promise to stop this funding.
When do you plan to file that complaint, sir, with the evidence?
Sorry, when?
When do you plan to file that complaint?
Our legal cooperation group under the National Task Force to End Local Communist Insurgency is now doing this, so it's up to them. Maybe if we can complete the packaging of this, we can transmit it as early as tomorrow or maybe next month. The earlier the better because they wanted us to move fast also because the next tranche of funds could be released anytime soon. So they wanted to make sure that they have these documents before they release the succeeding tranche of
Sir,
funds.
can you provide us with the list of complete names of organizations that are being funded? You mentioned already Ibon Foundation, Karapatan, what else, sir?
The document that the Belgian government gave us, initially they mentioned that they have 7 Belgian organizations existing here in Manila. But under these organizations, these Belgian organizations are the front organizations of the CPP. I'm not at liberty to divulge to you right now itong mga pangalan nitong mga organizations na ito, but ang very clear doon na nasa front page ng is this Ibon and Karapatan. So kaya right away yun yung binabanggit natin.
Ilan sila, sir?
Sorry?
Ilan sila, sir?
Ilang organizations?
Yes.
I don't know. Actually, we're still finalizing the document exploitation of this and parang nakaka-30 na organization.
Around 30.
Baka sa last na pag-uusap namin, mga 30 na. Baka sabi nila, sa Mindanao pa lang yun. Meron pang Visayas, meron Luzon. So, I don't know, maybe abot sa daan ang organization na pinupondan nito.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next question. Ace?
General, I remember the same message you already relayed during the past administration about some groups being front organizations, being leftist organizations, infiltrating international groups. What's the new message this time? Apparently, hindi ba sila na-convince dati? Kasi meron din mga ganito dati. Parang there was an effort by the military to clarify yung supposed links ng some groups with leftist organizations trying to infiltrate international organizations. Hindi sila na-convince dati.
Kailan ba itong sinasabi?
Kasi,
anong time frame nito?
Dati
Panahon
pa,
ni Presidente
Aquino, Arroyo, dati nang sinasabi ng military na itong groups na to are front organizations and they are trying to secure funding from international groups and they're internationalizing issues. So yung last time, ano kaya nangyari doon? Parang hindi yata na-convince yung...
Let's be honest, it's only in this administration na sineryoso ito. Kaya even the AFP, hindi pwedeng magseryoso-seryoso. Marirelieve ka during the time of Pinoy, if you remember. Marirelieve ka kapag you're not towing the line. No? So let's be frank. Let's be very frank. It's only in this administration na nakita natin na seryosong tapusin itong insurgency na ito. Kaya ngayon, pursigido tayo na gawin yung trabaho natin. But in the past, naglalaro eh. So, I don't know, for political reasons, whatever, siguro binabalanse lang nila. And then there's the peace talks also. Yun nga, for so long, 31 years tayo nagkipag-peace talks. The same framework ang ginagamit natin. At ang end state ng framework na yun is not even peace. It's a national democratic revolution. So, or coalition power sharing ang nakalagay doon. So, yung peace talks na yun, ano lang yun? Part ng legal struggle lang yun. Secondary to the armed struggle. At napakalinaw yan. For 31 years, ganyan yung framework na yan. So, si AAP, of course, sumusunod lang kung ano yung policy ng nakaupong
So, naging cautious yung previous administrations in dealing with the left. Kaya you're saying kaya hindi masyadong intensified tong ganitong info campaign because of the peace talks?
Maaari, yes. Maaari.
Ano yung sinasabi nyo na pag hindi tinow the line, marirelieve? What was the line that was supposed?
Maalala mo, ang dami naming inuhuli noon ng mga komunista. Nare-release. Napapakawalan. Kaya nawawalan ng gana yung military. Ang dami-dami. In fact, ang dami na nakakulong. Every time na mayroong peace talks, merong mga nire-release. So, really, it's only now that the AP felt that this issue in insurgency is being seriously addressed.
So, how would you describe then yung anti-insurgency efforts nung previous admin if that's the case?
Yung ating campaign naman ng AFP before was very effective. Pababa na nga ng pababa yung numbers ng kalaban. But every time na magkaroon tayo ng peace talks, may ceasefire, doon naman tumataas yung numero ng ating mga kalaban. But in the past administration, hindi masyado yung whole of nation. Now, talagang whole of government plus the society. So whole of nation talaga tayo. So this time, lahat na-address, including yung recruitment sa mga schools, including yung mga issues ng mga IPs natin. So, maganda ang chances natin ngayon na matatapos natin itong insurgency na ito.
Thank you po.
If I may add to that, coming from the peace process myself, I think it was basically an effort for us to make the peace process work at the time. Tandaan po natin na when the CPP-NPA were declared as terrorist organizations, it was government itself na nagsabi na, oy, teka nga muna, pwede ba natin pagbigyan natin sila? No? Kaya nga, dun mismo sa aspetong yun, we limited ourselves in really pushing forward. Kasi that was part of the confidence building. That was part of the entire peace process. Negotiations was very much part of the peace process. But what we're saying now is, teka nga muna, nagbigay na tayo ng sobra-sobra, pero bakit ganito pang ginagawa ninyo? Patuloy pa rin pag-aambush sa baba, patuloy pa rin yung pagsisira nyo sa kinabukasan ng mga kabataan. Pati kami, nagulat kami nung nakita namin yung kanilang curriculum eh. Instead na tinuturoan ng maayos na pag-aaral, mga bata tinuturoan mag-assemble ng rifle. So, sinira na. So, sabi natin dito, enough is enough. Let's go the other way. Anyway, if you take a look at the peace process is not limited by peace negotiations alone. Alam naman natin yun, di ba? Maraming mga peace paths. Thank you.
And by the way, hindi natin inabandon yung peace talks. Yung localized peace talks, ongoing yan. At napakaganda ng result. At yun ang ayaw ni Joma kasi nagiging irrelevant sila doon sa Utrecht. So kaya pinipilit nila na magkaroon uli ng peace talks with them. At hindi. Let's give this opportunity, these local officials to deal with these local communists kasi yung issue, mas alam nitong mga local leaders natin. So grounded sila. So napapag-usapan ng mabuti yung mga issues. Kaya yun, napakadami na po ang nagsusurrender. 14,000 na sa last count namin. I think 14,000.
Thank you. Ina?
To General Parlade or Yusek Katura, how much money are we talking about here? Do you have an idea on how much money yung groups po na sinasabi nyo get, and how regular?
Okay, we start with the EU. Si Ambassador mismo dito sa Manila, he admitted that they're about to release something like 2 million euros for just one organization. 2 million euros. Yun yung actually, yung isa sa mga reason kung bakit talagang pinursu natin dun sa European Union, yung issue na ito.
2 million euros, that's for what
For
period?
rural,
How long?
rural missionaries of the Philippines, for a period of, the first tranche was completed in December last year. Kaya ngayon, ino-audit na nila yun, yung 621,000. That's equivalent to 32 million pesos. And then the next tranche, etong year na ito. So, that's equivalent to 2 million total. And I heard, according to the ambassador, meron ding portion na nanggaling ng Peru. Can you imagine, Peru? Nagbibigay ng donation sa Pilipinas. So, that we have to trace also. But that's coming from the EU. Now, sa Belgium, when we engaged the Belgian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we found out that they are actually supporting the 7 NGOs in the Philippines with 3 million euros a year for a period of 5 years. So that's 15 million euros. We're not saying that all these NGOs are being exploited by the Communist Party of the Philippines. Yun nga ang pinag-aaralan natin kung ano itong mga organizations na nanginginabang dun sa mga pondo na ito. But that's only two entities. EU and the Belgian government.
Just to clarify, sir, yung 2 million euros, that's from the EU as an organization?
Yes.
Okay. And then, yung sinasabi nyo pong 7 NGOs with 3 million, that's 3 million euros each?
No, for the seven NGOs.
For the 7,
Yeah.
3 million every year for 5 years. Yun yung
Yes.
sinasabi.
For the 7.
Okay.
And one of those organizations na sinabi nila, na-admit nila, is MISFI and Al-Kadeb. Kaya naalala naman namin yung EU, yung funding ng EU dun sa because this is the same group that the EU is funding. So si Belgium at saka si EU, they're funding one project. So it could be that there's a second double funding scheme or even triple funding scheme. So that's what we want to find out with the other countries. Baka nagbibigay din sila ng support dito sa the same project na ito.
Okay. Sir, speaking of that, you mentioned kasi you used the word scam earlier. Are you referring to a money-making scam which you hope to reveal? If so, how does this reflect then on the ideology that the group is supposedly
Surprisingly,
fighting
we were asked, don't they know, according to the EU, don't they know that communism is dead? So it's not really about ideology anymore. I think it's about all the funding that they're getting. I'll show you a list of the organizations that's attending the 6 International Assembly. This is an assembly of the International League of People's Struggle. Magkakaroon sila ng 6 or 7 sa Hong Kong. This one is from the 5th. And this is a 3-page list of organizations. Hindi ko papangalanan, otherwise sasabihin nila, red tagging na naman ako. But this is from their website. Mamaya I'll share this to you, but or you can search their own website. But anyway, what I'm saying is, in the recent list, yung mga na-invite nila, meron ng Papua New Guinea, meron mga organizations from Senegal, meron from Brazil. So, worldwide. At sabi ko nga, nakalagay doon, sa last page na kanyang letter. Basahin ko na lang. Number 7. Please encourage the member organizations connected to your commission to pay their membership dues either to the ILPS country chapter, if one exists in your country, or to the ILPS National Treasurer. In solidarity, Professor Jose Maria Sison. So, nakikita namin that this is really a scam. Hindi lang alam nung ibang mga organizations, baka billions itong nakukolekta nila. And according to the 45 years International Solidarity Works na papel ng Communist Party of the Philippines, their presence is now in 7 regions around the world. Ang tawag nila doon is Global Regional Party Committees. So yung North America, na dati one Global Party Committee, ngayon, naghiwalay na. So hiwalay na si Canada sa US. Then merong South Africa, merong South America, merong Middle East and Africa, may Asia, merong Japan, may Southeast. So, hindi natin alam kung gaano na sila kalaki at gaano kalaki ang mga pondo na nakukuha nila dito sa mga organizations na ito.
Last, briefly, sir, so is that going to be the plan now to reveal this supposed scam? Is there going to be serious efforts to reveal this?
Yes, I've been getting a lot of communications, letters from counterparts that they are very interested in knowing what's happening, knowing what we have discovered in this engagement in Europe. And I think that's what we're going to do. That's what we're discussing now with the National Security Council. How do we go about informing all these nations that there's such a thing that ILPS, getting so many millions from their citizens? I don't know, baka funded din ng ibang gobyerno. We don't know yet. But as soon as we get the report of those who are doing the document exploitation, i-share natin. Kailangan ipaalam natin ito.
Thank you, Ina. RJ, and then afterwards, Maricel.
I'd like to emphasize lang sa question ni Ina, for clarity, that's only for Belgium, yung 15 million. Yeah, yung 15 million is for Belgium only, so marami pa yan.
Sir, but these are legal front organizations, right? Legal.
Yes.
So how do we compel EU then if the Philippine government recognizes these organizations as legal organizations?
We have to show them proof that these legal organizations are actually committing or contributing to this all this revolutionary sabi ko nga, isang sample ni Yusek ay yung itong eskwelahan nila, yung salugpungan ng Alcadeb, tinuturuan yung mga bata na maging radikal, magkalas ng M16, ang kanilang curriculum nakalagay doon. Ang A, for instance, armas, ang ba, bala, ang ka, kaaway, dahas. And I have here, gusto niyo makita yung kanilang lesson plan. Mga ismo ang mga tinuturo dito. Ito, lesson plan. Mamaya silipin niyo kung anong nakalagay dito. Mga komunismo, marxismo, grade 6, grade 7. So tinuturuan nila kung ito, very systematic yung kanilang indoctrination dito sa mga schools na ito.
So, sir, no effort from the government to declare these organizations as illegal organizations, if...
Like I said, we're now studying whatever documents we have. We have so many testimonies coming from students and former students of these schools na naging rebelde na. Lahat ito kino-consolidate natin. And by the way, this was part of the submission that we gave to the UN Permanent Mission natin sa Geneva. Kasi nga, itong mga violations na ito ng mga IPs, including itong recruitment ng mga IP children to become rebels, yung mga violation ng IP rights, hindi naman pinapansin ng UN Rapporteur on IPs. So that was the perfect opportunity for us. Total, may dala-dala kami mga electronic copy ng nung nakita namin yung mandate ng UN Rapporteur, very clear doon. Kailangan lang iparating sa kanila na itong mga violation na ito nangyayari at action na nila. Pero walang action ang UN IP Rapporteur natin. So this time we presented Ambassador Evan Garcia the list of the 17 violations with the corresponding attachments, mga affidavits, mga pictures, but partial lang yun. We are still consolidating more evidences coming from the field.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Maricel.
Hi, sir. Good morning. Sir, if these are legal organizations, is there a chance that the European Union is not aware that they are funding front organizations of the communist group?
I think yes, they admitted it that they are not aware because, for instance, yung Belgium, ang minomonitor na lang nila yung mandate nitong 7 Belgian organizations at very clear naman doon. Protection of human rights, women's rights, environmental protection. Magaganda naman yung kanilang advocacies. Kaya sila nagbibigay ng funding. Hindi na nila, inamin nila, hindi na nila inaalam kung ano yung mga organization sa ilalim nitong mga Belgian organizations, yung mga local organizations na sinusuporta nitong 7 Belgian organizations.
But you mentioned earlier, sir, na merong 7 NGOs na fina-fund nila for 5 consecutive years na. So if that's the case, gaano na pala katagal yung posibilidad na pinupondohan nito yung mga front organizations?
Hindi pa po umabot doon yung aming investigation. Wala pang report. But mamadaliin namin para masagot itong mga tanong na ito. Kasi sabi nga natin, nagmamadali rin sila na matanggap yung report na yun. Para on their part, maka-action sila. At least on our part, siguro gusto nilang mangyari ay ma-disqualify na yung accreditation nito, mga NGOs na ito, maputol.
But do we still accept donation coming from EU?
What do you mean, we?
Government. The government. Is the government still accepts donation?
The Philippine government?
Yes, the Philippine government.
We're not talking of the EU providing assistance to the Philippine government. We are talking of the EU's support to this non-government organization. NGOs po ito. So, I don't know kung anong...
No, because I'm just wondering if may epekto ba yon in any case. How will it affect yung possible assistance na binibigay nila doon sa mga, legit programs if the government is planning to file complaint?
I'm sorry, I cannot answer that. Hindi ako masyadong familiar dyan sa aspect na yan.
Yusek Gatura.
I think the main message that we really wanted to hear from the EU was their openness. It was really the first time that they heard about this important information, that they were funding front organizations. In fact, they were very proud to tell us na, in fact, these are the groups that we are funding, only to be informed by General Parlade na, teka nga muna, ito yung mga ano nyo. So, ang sabi nila, since this is it, we encourage you to really work on the evidences that you are preparing, so that for us to really be very cautious, no? And at the same time, itong ginagawa kasi natin, this is also to protect yung mga legitimate organizations na talagang totoong may puso na tumutulong. Just imagine, instead na mapunta sana doon sa mga legitimate organizations, the bulk of the funds go to, these organizations na ang talagang target nila is to undermine and overthrow this not only the government, but to change the facade of the structure of Philippine society. Kaya nga kung minsan ang iniisip mo nga naman, mahirap makipag-usap sa isang tao na ang agenda niya isirain ka. So how could you come up with that? But then for years, sabi nga natin, for years, we tried to extend a hand of unity, a hand of reconciliation, dahil nga may peace process. Pero at this point, sabi natin, enough is enough. Masyadong malaki ng at stake sa kinabukasan ng ating mga kabataan.
Thank you po.
Thank you. RJ?
Sir, those materials that you mentioned, general, lesson plans, the way they teach their kids at schools, is there anything illegal about it?
I think I'll have to show this to you and you read for yourself para ikaw magsabi kung...
No, sir. You said they are teaching communism, they are teaching to become radical.
Basahin mo na lang.
RJ,
Yeah.
I think yung point natin dito is, one, communism is an ideology that is accepted worldwide. No? Walang problema yan. But if you cross the bounds of you go towards violence, doon na maging problema. In fact, the main message natin sa EU was, alam nyo, we respect the ideology of communism. But your counterpart in the Philippines is doing you a great disservice. No, ginawa nyo ng terrorist ito. Hindi yun ang gusto nila eh. Kasi ito yung mga taong gusto magpabago ng lipunan pero sa maayos na paraan. So I think there was that agreement, no, during the discussion, and they were also quite surprised. Kasi iba yung kung makikita mo, no, ginagamit nila yung word na international solidarity. And that is a framework which is accepted globally. You use international solidarity because it's an obligation of developed countries to help developing countries. Kaya lang ang ginawa nilang platform ito to make use of that generosity of the EU countries para kumuha sila ng pera. No? In fact, meron ng triple funding, double funding. So they were able to take advantage of that. Ang sinasabi naman ng EU, alam namin yun pero hindi namin alam yung extent na ginamit yung aming pondo. In fact, nagulat nga sinabi nga namin sa kanila, we appreciate what EU is doing. We appreciate what Belgium is doing. But we could not wish to think to ourselves that EU and Belgium are funding terrorism in the Philippines. Doon sila teka muna, hindi pwede mangyari yun. But that's the reality. That's the reality. And that is the truth that you wanted to tell them. And that was the essence of the information campaign that we wanted to push.
Sir, what's this school again? What do we call this?
Salugpungan Schools, Alcadev, merong TRIFs, may clans.
These are schools for terrorism?
No, I did not say that. These are alternative learning schools na pinutap nitong mga rural missionaries, na mga organizations na allied sa kaliwa. Supposedly, para turuan yung mga kabataan kasi merong pagkukulang ng eskwelahan sa mga malalayang lugar. But you will be surprised, many of these schools are actually inside the guerrilla bases, the guerrilla zones. So hindi sila accessible dun sa mga teachers natin, sa DepEd. So it's by design na nandun sila. So yun. So yung curriculum nila ang nagpo-produce ng mga radikal. Natututo naman silang magbasa. Natututo naman sila Kaya yun nga lang, ang abakada nila is armas, bala. So yun. Ang isang sample nilang isang declarative statement, halimbawa, ang sundalo ay human rights violator. Yun. Malinaw yan doon sa mga dokumento nila. Kung ikaw ay nagugutom, ang sagot, matutulog ka na lang, magsusumikap kang parang ma-overcome ang iyong gutom o magtrabaho para o umalsa. Yan yung mga choices doon. But I'll show you all these documents para kayo mismo ang at sabihin niyo kung tama ba itong curriculum na ito na pinapatupad ng mga schools na funded nitong mga rural missionaries of the Philippines na ito.
And
Thank you, sir.
Besides, if I may add, sir, bukod doon sa mga dokumento hawak ni General, there are former students nitong mga schools na ito na lumutang naman na sila at sila na mismo nagkukwento. Kakaiba talaga yung, kumbaga tayo no araw, merong mga PE pag Sabado, pagka Friday, kanila, iba, talagang pinapawak sila ng nuturuan paano mag-dismantle ng barrel, no? So, hindi na PE yun. So, may sarili silang ROTC. Kaya lang, mga maliliit itong bata Yan ang problema dyan So, sa kanila nanggagaling yung mga may sarili sila.
Okay. Other questions? Ace?
Okay. Iba namang paksa, Some senators have criticized the trip, saying it's unnecessary and it's a waste of taxpayers' money. Now, for the record, how much was spent for the trip? Kung sino po makakasagot.
Hindi naman kami nag-usap kung magkano ang nagasto namin. But basically,
nag-utang
pamasahe, of course, hindi naman libre yung pamasahe, mag-hotel ka, pero dahil maliit lang yung per dime ng gobyerno, nakikitira na lang kami sa mga kaibigan namin. At kumakain kami doon sa, kumbaga, yung bangketa para makatipid.
That's true.
Ang mahal ng ang pagkain sa Europe, ang hotel sa Europe. Hindi natin kayang pumunta doon. Pero hindi fair, mali yung na yan junket. Sabi nga namin 4 times, 5 times nang iniimbita ang AFP, ang Philippine government, na sagutin itong mga katanungan na ito ng UN on yung WIGED. Eh ngayon, na sinasagot, pinuntahan natin, na sasagutin natin yung mga issues, magiging problema pala, magiging issue pala yun. So, saan ka pupunta?
Okay.
And to give you an idea, sa trip na yan, natuto kumain ng noodles si Yusek Lorraine. Diba? At kami, share-sharean lang kami dito. Yung mga, you may ask members of the Filipino communities doon. Awa nga sila sa amin eh. Diba? Sabi nga nila, actually, may isang doktor doon na sabi, kakaiba kayo dahil, well, practically, doon na kami halos nakitira sa kanya. Kikain. So, pero hindi mo quantify kung magkano ba talaga. Pamasahe, konting accommodations.
So gaano kamura? Hindi, do you have figures kasi para meron tayong eksaktong sagot kasi pwedeng sabihin what can be mura to you, baka hindi mura sa kanila. Or mahal sa inyo, hindi mahal sa kanila.
Let us just look at it this way. Gumasto ka. Sabi mo ng 1 million or 2 million. But in the process, you are able to prevent the funding worth 2 billion or 1 billion. Funding from organizations na napunta doon sa radicalization ng mga bata. Baka sana yun na lang ang isipin ng mga bumabatikos. At sabi nga nila, bakit ngayon lang kayo nagpunta? Why just now? Alam mo yung Filipino communities na nakakausap namin, sir, ang tagal na naming alam ito. Ang tagal ng, marami sa amin dito, member ng ganitong organization, at kami nagko-contribute. Hindi namin alam, sir, na nagagamit kami. In-explain namin that these organizations are actually, magaganda naman yung advocacies nila. Ang hindi nila alam, yung party, may party group dyan sa loob ng organization. Ang tawag nila doon, underground mass organization, within that organization. So, mayroong legal organization, but within that is a underground mass organization. Yun ang hindi nila alam. Yun ang nagpapatakbo ng lahat, nag-orchestrate ng mga activities nila. Kaya nagiging violent minsan yung kanilang mga activities, nawawala sila doon sa kanilang totoong advocacies. But marami sa kanila ang medyo nagising. At ngayon, tinatanong nila yung kanilang mga officials dito sa mga organizations na ito. Ano ba talaga ang sadya natin? Bakit ganito? Meron kaming naririnig na yung mga pera na pinapadala sa Pilipinas ay napupunta sa mga ganitong schools sa lugpungan ng Alcadep. Isa doon sa mga member na nagtanong sa akin, actually, taga Davao. Teacher siya doon. At nagsabi siya, sir, ang tagal na namin itong sinabi na itong salugpungan schools na ito, kailangang sara na. 4 years na siya sa Europe. Ngayon lang na-actionan.
Okay, sige po. Pwedeng pahingi na lang po yung figures kung meron na paki-release na lang po sa media once they are available para po meron tayong figures exact. Okay? Salamat po.
Okay. Yes, please.
Good morning. Nestor from The Inquirer. So, to clarify, tuloy pa rin yung funding ng EU sa mga organizations na ito since they are asking for more evidence, at least for now. So, tuloy pa rin yung funding nila dito sa mga organizations na ito because from what you have said earlier, sabi nga ni General Parlade, parang they are asking for more documents and pieces of evidence. So, for now, tuloy pa rin yung funding nila, sir?
Yung na-release na yun. So, ina-audit nila. Yung hindi pa nila na-release, hino-hold muna nila hanggat kaya nila kasi naka-program na yun eh. So, it's actually, ang bola na sa atin para ipakita sa kanila yung mga documentations na hiningi nila.
Okay. Any other questions? Satisfied, MPC? Okay. So, thank you very much. Thank you very much, General Parlade, Yusek Catura, and
more.
Yusek Eco. Meron pa ba? May gusto pa magtanong? Or you still have other...
Gusto ko lang i-clarify, ano?
Okay.
I have this list. Marami niyang umaalma, red tagging. Lumang kwento na yan. Si Joma na nga nagsabi na front organization sila. Tapos, ang kino-quote nila, yung mga AAP na nagsasabi na, hindi. Basahin nila or pakinggan nila yung statement ni Joma. At si Joma nag-tag sa kanila na red. And by the way, ito yun. Yung sulat ni Joma, nandun yung mga pangalan ng kanilang mga organizations na member nitong ILPS. At hindi si AAP ang nagsabi nito. Hindi ko nga babanggitin kung ano itong mga to. Basahin nyo. At tanungin niyo si Joma kung totoo ba na pirma niya ito at saka ito yung mga listahan na ito. So, yan yung ano ngayon, kailangan maintindihan ng taong bayan yung dual revolutionary tactics ng kalaban. Kailangan maintindihan nila yon na yan talaga ang paraan ni Joma Sison na nakalutang yung kanilang legal front organizations, pero ang ginagawa nila, I'll cite an example, KMU. Red tagging sila ng red tagging. Sino ba ang nagsabi na front organization sila? Di ba si Joma Sison? Okay. Ang KMU po, hindi naman lahat ng members niyan komunista or masama. Hindi. Meron dyan party group sa loob niyan na yun talaga ang nagpapagulo dyan sa KMU niyan. Ang dami nating mga kaibigan na KMU member. Marami din sa kanila hindi aware na ganun. Kaya ang nangyari doon sa Davao, nag-away yung KMU nung namulat sila, doon nila naintindihan na ina-exploit sila ng Communist Party of the Philippines. Kaya nag-away. Yung isa gustong isara yung factory, yung isa gustong buksan, hindi. Kami ay nagtayo ng union para yung ating mga benefits, privileges na legitimate naman ay ma-address. Hindi para mawalan ng trabaho. Kaya sila nag-away-away. So, yun. At ina-explain natin sa ating mga kababayan na there's such a thing called the revolutionary dual tactics. Ang sinasabi nila, democratic organization sila. But actually, mga violenteng organization ito within that organization. Yun lang ang dapat na maintindihan ng mga organization na tinawag ni Joma na mga front organizations. Hindi lahat ng members noon ay mga masasama. Madami sa kanila, majority of them, in fact, nasa 95% nitong mga members nito walang kaalam-alam dun sa ginagawa ng 5 tao within that organization or within that chapter. Ito yung nagpapagalaw, ito yung mga galamay ni Joma Sison at ito yung dapat na ma-identify nila. Ang pwede nilang gawin, actually, pumunta sila sa police siguro, sabihin nila, sir, member ako ng ganitong organization, hindi ko alam na kami ay na-infiltrate na, willing kaming tapusin na itong insurgency na ito, tulungan nyo kami kung paano. At sana matulungan din kami, or tayo, ang gobyerno, para ma-identify kung sino itong mga infiltrators dun sa organizations na ito na sumisira ng mga magagandang advokasya nitong mga organisasyon na ito. Thank you po.
Okay. General Ed Arevalo of the AFP is also here if you have any other questions. Okay na kayo?
Boundary na.
ROTC, gusto nyo tanongin?
Okay. Okay, so
Kanila kasi totoong baril ginagamit eh.
Oo nga. Sir, we're okay na? May pahabol pa daw si Ina.
Did you have to explain about the EJ case? I mean, it was mentioned in one of the opening statements earlier. And if so, how did it go?
PNP.
Basta sa AFP po for the last 5 years, 0 violation ng AFP. 0 human rights violation, torture, disappeared persons. Wala. Wala na silang makuhang issue, so gumagawa sila ng kwento. Gusto nilang buhayin yung mga past records ng AFP. Na wala namang kaming kamuwang-muwang. 1987 po ako naging sundalo eh. Ang pinag-uusapan natin martial law years.
I would like to believe that there's already an appreciation of what we are doing in terms of addressing the anti-illegal drug problem in the country.
I'm sorry, sir, just to clarify my question. EJ case in relation to the drug war because
yes, that's
of
correct.
Course it's an issue. That's
Kasi alam naman natin yon na during the past administration, hindi mo ini-equate ang EJ case sa drug problem. No? Nung nagkaroon na lang tayo ng bagong problema under the Duterte administration, nung wala sila makita na EJK under the old definition, isinama nila, nilamp nila yung mga drug killings, no? Drug-related killings. It has been a struggle for us to explain that before the international community. However, during the last engagement by the Philippines with the European Union in relation to the EU GSP Plus, System of Preference Plus, no? Kung saan tayo we are being measured in terms of 4 areas, human rights, labor rights, environment, and climate change, as it relates to how we deal with our trade relations. No? Shinif na nila ang usapan ng EJ case or anti-illegal drug campaign doon sa governance. No? So parang sinasabi nila dito is, teka nga muna, let's take a look at the anti-illegal drug campaign issue as a problem on governance. So that's slowly shifting yung concern natin with EJK. So nagkaroon sila ng appreciation na, teka nga muna, oo nga pala, dapat pala ganitong pananaw ang dapat tingnan natin sa problema ng EJK. So dito, we are seeing, sabi ko nga, we are seeing an appreciation coming from the global community, and we see it as a very positive development. At least nakakapag-focus tayo. Of course, there are still interest groups who would want to pad the figures, but then again, madali lang naman may explain sa kanila at alam na nila. No? Kasi alam natin na may lumalabas na 27,000 kuno, but we're saying na may 5,000, but you already clarified that. And I think that's well explained.
You clarified it, and what do you think you were able to convince them that it's not an issue that they should be concerned about, the UN, during this trip po, sir?
Alam mo kasi ganito yan. A major aspect in human rights, no, is accountability. No? If you can be able to explain that government holds itself accountable to its actions, that's something that is highly appreciated. Kaya nga isa doon sa mga ginawa ng EU delegation, which unfortunately hindi na ako nakasama, is to explain before the chiefs of mission what are the different accountability mechanisms of the country in addressing these problems. Kasi it has been part of the series of fora which tried to address the issue of anti-illegal drug campaign. So I would like to believe na na-address yun.
Part of our contingent are members of our officials of the Philippine National Police, and they made a presentation about that when we faced the heads of missions.
So successful, you're saying, and you clarified and were able to address all their concerns.
There were some questions raised, there were interaction, but at the end of the meeting, satisfied naman sila.
Ang maganda kasi diyan, yung dialogue ends up in something which is, hindi siya tapos. Ibig ko sabihin, yung sinasabi natin na hindi kami makikinig sa inyo. At least there's already this large window of openness na kung saan tayo pwede mapag-usapan yan. And the gauge in that is also the way that we have seen yung mga posts dito sa bansa natin ng mga Western European countries na nagkakaroon ng
Yusek Eco used the word satisfied naman po dun sa explanation.
Was,
and I ask this because just recently, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Ms. Bachelet, said that the Duterte drug war should not be used as a model by any country. So how then could you say that you were successful or they were satisfied with the explanation if one of their chiefs gave out that statement?
Yung engagement with the heads of mission, let's treat it separately, and the one in latest statement ni Bachelet, it's being addressed right now. It's already being addressed already. But I'd like to assure you that during malaki yun malaking gathering, yung mga heads of missions. It was General Jair Fidel of the PNP who made the presentation sa mga ganon. So iba-iba kasi yung assignment sa amin.
So it might have, the discussions there, your efforts there might not have been enough. Is it safe to assume because of Ms. Bachelet's remarks, which came after your attendance there?
It would have been different if he was there, or I mean.
Let's just say that all efforts are works in progress. Kasi iba rin yung sa leadership, iba rin yung approach doon, at iba rin yung doon sa general membership. At kung titingnan natin sa general membership, the mere fact that you were elected to a fifth term speaks highly of what we are doing. And of course, we are not a perfect state. Meron talagang, kahit ano naman sinasabi niya na meron mga flaws, but then again, there are success stories na pwedeng i-highlight yun. So, mas malawak ang pagtingin. Kay Madam Bachelet, kaya nga sabi nga namin dito, the mere fact that she has been able to utter that compels us to really push for the information campaign na dapat makarating sa kanya.
Yes.
There's a different dynamic surrounding the president, sa Human Rights Council. It's a totally different approach that we should try to consider later on.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Ina. Baka may pahabol pang questions. Wala na? Okay na talaga kayo, Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much, MPC. Thank you to our guests, Yusek Egco, Yusek Atura, and General Parlade. Back to PTV Studios and Radyo Pilipinas.